Ahmedabad, a vibrant city in Gujarat, known for its rich culture, bustling markets and the warmth of its people, woke up to what seemed like an ordinary day. But beneath the surface of daily life, fate was about to take a devastating turn. The city was struck by an unimaginable tragedy that would forever change its history and leave a mark on the hearts of its people. In the early hours, a passenger airplane filled with hope and anticipation crashed shortly after takeoff. The disaster shattered the lives of everyone on board and sent shockwaves far beyond the city's borders, touching families and friends across the globe. Sirens pierced the morning air as emergency vehicles raced to the scene. First responders worked tirelessly amid chaos and heartbreak, while the community was plunged into mourning, struggling to comprehend the scale of the loss. At the airport and hospitals, families waited anxiously for news, clinging to hope with every passing moment. Each update brought a mix of dread and desperation as loved ones embraced, prayed, and wept together. The crash site, strewn with wreckage and personal belongings, stood as a devastating reminder of how quickly life can change. Investigators combed through the debris, searching for answers amid the heartbreak. The aircraft was an international flight, carrying people from many nations, business travelers, tourists, students, and families returning home. Each passenger had their own dreams, plans, and loved ones waiting for them. The loss was not just local, it was global. Communities from distant countries found themselves united in grief, as the tragedy connected people across continents in a shared sense of loss and empathy. News channels worldwide focused on the human cost, sharing stories of the victims and their families. The scale of the tragedy became clear as the world watched, hearts heavy with sorrow. The city's usual energy and colour faded, replaced by a heavy collective sadness. Streets that once bustled with life now stood silent as people gathered in small groups to mourn and remember. For Ahmedabad, this was more than a headline, it was a deep, personal wound. Every neighbourhood felt the impact as friends, neighbours and colleagues struggled to come to terms with the loss. The world watched, united in sorrow as the story unfolded. International landmarks lowered their flags, and people everywhere paused to remember those lost. Each victim had a story, a family, and a destination they would never reach. Their absence left a void that could never be filled, and their memories became a source of both pain and remembrance. The tragedy served as a stark reminder of our shared vulnerability and of the fragile threads that connect us all. In the face of such loss, people found strength in each other, coming together in solidarity and compassion. In moments like these, the pain of one city becomes the pain of many. Across the world, candles were lit, prayers were offered, and a collective hope emerged that from this darkness, unity and resilience would shine through. News of the Ahmedabad crash quickly reached world leaders, including King Charles and Queen Camilla. The royal family, with its historic ties to India, responded with immediate compassion. From Buckingham Palace, they released a heartfelt statement, offering solidarity and support. Their message was more than a formality, it was a genuine gesture of friendship. The King and Queen's swift response provided comfort to those grieving, both in India and across the Commonwealth. Their words reminded the world that in times of crisis, unity and empathy matter most. The royal family's actions highlighted the importance of standing together in the face of tragedy. Their compassion resonated with people everywhere, reinforcing the bonds between nations. The royal family's statement was shared globally, reaching millions within hours of its release. News outlets, social media, and television broadcasts all carried the message, amplifying its impact far beyond the United Kingdom. The world paused to listen as the words of the King and Queen resonated across continents, uniting people in a moment of collective attention. Its language was simple and deeply emotional, carefully chosen to speak directly to the hearts of those grieving. The statement avoided complex or formal phrasing, instead using words that anyone could understand, making the message accessible and sincere. King Charles and Queen Camilla expressed that they were desperately shocked by the tragedy, a phrase that conveyed genuine personal grief. Their choice of words reflected not just official sorrow, but a deep human response to loss. This was not a distant, formal condolence, but a heartfelt response from leaders who felt the pain of others. The King and Queen's empathy was evident as they reached out emotionally to those suffering, showing that their grief was real and shared. The King's words bridged the gap between royalty and the public, showing that sorrow knows no rank. In that moment, the monarchy stood not above, but alongside the people, united in mourning and compassion. By calling the crash terrible events, the message honored the victims without sensationalism. The careful wording respected the dignity of those lost, focusing on remembrance rather than drama. The statement focused on empathy, offering comfort to those affected worldwide. It acknowledged the pain felt by families and communities and extended a hand of support to all who were grieving. In moments of sorrow, people looked to leaders for reassurance, and the King's message provided just that. His words became a source of solace, helping many to process their grief and find a sense of unity. The royal family's response became a focal point for public grief, uniting people in shared mourning. Across the world, communities gathered to remember, drawing strength from the compassion shown by their leaders. Their words ensured the victims would not be forgotten, and that the memory of this tragedy would be honored with dignity, compassion, and a promise of remembrance for years to come. King Charles and Queen Camilla extended their deepest sympathy and special prayers to all affected. Their message offered spiritual comfort, hoping for peace for the lost and strength for the grieving. By mentioning both families and friends, the King acknowledged the wide circle of pain. He recognized that grief extends across communities and nations. The statement's global reach reminded us that compassion knows no borders. Deepest possible sympathy was more than a phrase. It was a sincere attempt to share in the suffering. The royal family's words became a source of solace for those enduring unimaginable loss. In times of overwhelming sadness, such gestures can help light the way forward. King Charles paid tribute to the emergency services and volunteers who responded to the crash. He honored firefighters, police, medical teams, and ordinary citizens who risked everything to help. The King's gratitude extended to all who supported the rescue and recovery efforts. By recognizing these heroes, he celebrated the community's resilience and compassion. His words validated the sacrifices made by those on the front lines. The tribute boosted morale and reminded responders that their efforts were seen and valued worldwide. In the face of tragedy, the King's praise highlighted the best of human nature. The world stood in solidarity with those who brought hope amid despair. The Ahmedabad crash, though local, had global consequences. International flights connect people from many nations, and this tragedy touched families worldwide. Embassies mobilized and news spread rapidly, uniting distant communities in grief. Media coverage highlighted the international scope, making the loss feel personal for many. The tragedy reminded us how interconnected our world has become. King Charles's condolences spoke to a global audience, acknowledging shared pain. The event became a symbol of our common humanity. In a world linked by travel and technology, a single disaster can unite us all in sorrow. The need for comfort and solidarity was universal. Why do royal condolences matter in a tragedy far from the UK? The British royal family, as leaders of the Commonwealth, represent a family of nations, including India. Their words carry the weight of history and shared values. Royal messages are gestures of friendship that transcend politics, building goodwill and unity. For the Indian diaspora, the King's sympathy is deeply personal, reinforcing a sense of belonging. Such statements keep the tragedy in the global spotlight, encouraging ongoing support. The King's words amplify compassion, ensuring the world does not forget Ahmedabad's loss. In moments of crisis, royal condolences help bridge divides and foster solidarity. The grief from Ahmedabad rippled across continents, uniting people in mourning. Vigils and memorials were held worldwide as strangers gathered to honor the victims. Social media became a space for global empathy, with messages and art expressing solidarity. Leaders everywhere echoed King Charles's sentiments, reinforcing a chorus of support. The tragedy dissolved borders, reminding us of our shared humanity. In the face of loss, people reached out to comfort one another, regardless of nationality. The world stood together, proving that compassion is stronger than division. The pain was collective, and so was the response. In moments like these, we remember that we are one human family. Even in darkness, the human spirit finds light. When tragedy strikes, it can feel as though the world has stopped turning, but in those quiet, painful moments, hope begins to flicker once more. The aftermath of the crash revealed countless stories of hope: emergency workers risking their own safety, volunteers offering food and shelter, and survivors supporting one another with remarkable resilience and compassion. In the face of overwhelming loss, these acts of kindness became beacons of light, guiding the community through the darkness. The global outpouring of support from leaders and ordinary people alike wove a tapestry of solidarity. Messages of comfort and unity poured in from every corner of the world, reminding Ahmedabad that it was not alone in its grief. Families honored their loved ones by sharing memories, choosing hope over despair. Through stories, photographs, and quiet moments of remembrance, they kept the spirit of those lost alive, finding strength in each other and in the community that surrounded them. These acts of remembrance became a vital part of healing. Coming together in ceremonies, lighting candles, and embracing one another, the community found comfort and a sense of belonging, even in the midst of sorrow. The tragedy reminded us that unity is our greatest strength. When people stand together, differences fade away, and a shared purpose emerges, one that is rooted in compassion and mutual support. In crisis, our differences fade and empathy prevails. Strangers become friends and communities unite, showing that love and understanding can bridge any divide. The path to recovery is long, but built on a foundation of shared humanity. Every small act of rebuilding, every gesture of support, brings the community one step closer to healing and renewal. By standing together, we honor those lost and reaffirm our commitment to a compassionate world. Each candle lit, each hand held, is a promise to never forget and to always care for one another. In sorrow we find the seeds of hope and unity. As the sun rises again over Ahmedabad, it brings with it the promise of a new beginning and the enduring strength of a community that chooses hope together.